Boss man. And we're live, dude. My guy, Princeton. Welcome to the podcast, dude. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. Wednesday, dude. Kind of making our way through the week, dude. I'm out here in Chicago, so we're in that pocket where we're getting like pristine weather for like probably like
Yeah.
3 weeks, and then it's gonna be shitty after that. So
Is it
I'm
like
living it up while I can.
a little brisk at night? You mean like what's the perfect weather in Chicago?
Yeah, I would say it's like between that 65, 75 range, and without it being too humid, get a little
Yeah.
breeze coming through, man. And it almost feels wrong to be inside, right? Because it's like, it's gonna be like dookie weather for the next like 9 months, starting in November. So it's like, dude, gotta get
Like
outside as
this is
much as
the time,
possible. Yeah, yeah.
that early fall weather.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? How is
Yeah,
it over
for
by
sure.
you, bro?
It just this past week in Charlotte started to get at night when you walk out, you're like, ooh, it's a little cool, which is it's a good thing because now it's not like 95-degree sunny weather. So now it's like during the day it's like maybe in the low 80s, high 70s. So that's nice. And then at night it's like 65, so you can walk out and feel a little breeze and but still have a short sleeve t-shirt on. So
My man, my
it's
man.
good.
Seems like we're both enjoying like the
Yep,
early onsets of fall right now,
yeah,
man.
yep. The
My
early
man.
onsets of fall, because like you said, it doesn't last all the time. So it comes and goes.
Yeah, yeah, man. But other than that, bro, how's the week been treating you so far?
I would say it's been a good mix of just staying busy, keeping to doing the day to day, and just another week, man. I got to shoot some video content on Monday, so that was pretty fun.
That's sick, man. Yeah, I saw that the music video for Suma Sen, like in
Yeah,
that booth, dude. That's a
yeah,
vibey video, bro.
yeah. No, that's the place that's like an hour from Charlotte in South Carolina. That a guy reached out to me that has that studio and does little films like that with songs and like one-off videos. And I was like, dude, I need that. So
I'm in. Yeah.
pulled up to a spot and then made filmed it like 9 different times. Took like 30 minutes, but quick. Like when one angle was done, we filmed the next angle, and I was sweating by the end of it just because we just kept performing back to back to back to back to back to back to back. So
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel you on that. Sometimes when I see like, just music videos like that one, or just like
uh-huh.
your standard music video, right? It's like you never know, you don't realize. And I'm kind of into photography and videography on
Yep,
some of my
yep,
other
yep.
platforms.
Of course,
It's
yeah,
like you realize you have to do so many takes, right?
yep,
And the artist has to keep up that energy for
yeah,
all those takes. And I'm surprised, like kudos to that dude that you all got it done in 30 minutes because it seems like it
yeah.
was a full-on production that might have taken a long time, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was really like I was just standing in the one space, and every time a take finished, he would run back, start the song up again, and then just move or like have the camera moved as well, like and then go run, start the song back up again, and just like we did that like 9 times. And this was like in the middle of like it's called Lancaster, South Carolina, so it's like kind of in the middle of nowhere. So it's just like an empty street, dark street, and we just were just filming and vibing. It was just us two, and we had a great time. So yeah, it came out like phenomenal.
It came out fire, dude. Like the light work was good, dude.
Yep.
Like the different panning shots, like being out on the
Yeah.
street, going back into the studio, doing
Hmm.
side angles. It's like, all those different shots make for a good like viewer
Yeah.
experience, right? Like
And
it's not just one standard, like, just one shot. You got like all those different angles, and it keeps that attention like on the video, you know?
yeah, like what you said, like you make videos as well and are into videography, so that's like a whole different beast. The song is one thing, but having something that's captivating and doesn't feel like you're on one take for too long, like that I definitely with the song "Super My Sin," we definitely like to have like quick cuts because the song's very exciting, it's very lively, it's very energetic. So you need to
Yeah.
have those quick cuts in order to just keep the attention for somebody to watch it all the way through. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot. Like just learning about videography just from making music is like, it's an art form in itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Speaking of that, man, I know you dropped your newest project recently,
Yes,
man. Yeah,
sir. Yes,
yeah.
sir. Breaking the action, baby.
That's right, man. And congrats on that, dude. That's huge.
Thank you.
And I noticed the difference in the production quality and like the thoughtfulness behind the rhymes themselves, man, and just the sound, like I said, in general, man. It sounds
Hmm.
so crisp. Sounds so professional, man. Sounds like you made it in a professional studio, dude. And that to me is just you honing in your craft over time, man. And
Yeah.
I remember like like you were one of the first followers of mine, dude. Like when I first like hopped on the gram and you know, seeing like a lot of the videos like just from your phone and stuff like that and all that. Dude, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you like have kind of like a headband thing going for a little bit?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
had
yeah.
like 3, 4 years ago, or actually like a couple years ago, I was just rocking a headband for like 3 years, man. I had long
Yeah.
hair, and I just rocked the headband for. It was like one of those. It's just a phase, mom. But
Yeah.
I rocked the headband for 3 years. I didn't even realize it. But
You
yeah,
rocked it, dude. You
that was a
rocked it
long
though.
phase. Yeah, that was a long era. But yeah, no, that was then I got a haircut, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
it changed up.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I'm trying to remember, yeah, exactly how we because I know we've been following each other for a good number of years, but I don't know exactly how it came to be that we were mutuals or ended up following one another. But yeah, man, no, like I said, I really like the channel. I like what you put out, and that's why I'm glad to be a part of this today.
Yeah, man. I appreciate all of that, dude. You know, it's you know, sometimes like, you know, like likewise, man, sometimes you just like somebody's like energy, their content, their vibe, and you know, that's all
Hmm.
it takes for me sometimes is to be like, yo, this dude, you know, is just out here. He's like fighting for his own. He's hustling, he's
Getting
grinding
it,
out
yeah.
there and like that to me is enough for me to feel like I want to keep moving, right? Like I want to keep doing
Hmm.
new things, trying new things out, like entering new spaces and just expanding my horizons and learning new
Yeah.
skills, bro. And that's like probably the main thing, right? From what I see from you is that like you continue to push the boundaries like with your music. You know, you continue to try new things out. I see you always somewhere else. You know, like
Yeah.
repping yourself, dude. And that you got to be your number one advocate, right? Like you got to be the
Yeah.
person who's like believes in yourself the most, dude. So the energy is real, man. And yeah, I appreciate all the good vibes, dog.
Hell yeah, man. No,
Yeah.
that's what's up, man.
So, you know, what I was hoping to do a little bit is like, you know, before we jump into like the throes of your music career, just
Yeah.
want to possibly take it back to where were you born? Where did it all start for Princeton?
I'm actually from the city that I'm currently in. I'm from born and raised Charlotte, North Carolina. So
Nice.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a great city. So
Yeah, I've never been there.
definitely.
And then so correct me if I'm wrong. I might have did I hear some Portuguese on one of your tracks or was it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. You said, like I said, you said mentioning, trying new things. Yeah, I did a little. I practiced Portuguese for like a week just to get that little burst down.
Hey man, it sounded authentic, you know, from what I've heard, other Portuguese, right? You know, Brazilian Portuguese is different
Yep,
than Portugal
yep, yeah, yeah,
Portuguese.
yeah, yeah.
So like, there's two different dialects there, but it sounded like, man, it sounded like you had. That's why I was wondering if you had any Brazil or any sort of Portuguese in your background.
I mean, no, I wish, but my mom is actually from Peru.
Okay,
Yeah, the country of Peru. So she's I guess I'm a first generation. I don't know how that goes, but she's from there, and like she moved here when she was about 20 years old. So
yeah,
yeah, so I guess I'm first generation. I'm not quite sure how that all works,
yeah. I don't know either, but
but
I think
but
we're
you know
the
what I'm
same,
saying.
right?
You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then my dad's from North Carolina, so he's a white guy from North Carolina. So that's kind
Nice.
of I definitely have that mix of American and like somebody that's foreign as well. Based on my
Yeah.
parents. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Like side note, I'm actually going to Peru in a couple of
Oh,
weeks, dude. Yeah,
oh
gonna
heck yeah, man.
hit
Machu
that.
Picchu, man. You
That's
got
what.
to.
That's it, bro. I'm doing the Inca Trail, man, with one of my homies. So we're just gonna, you know, make
Wonder
some
of the
memories, dude.
one of the seven wonders of the world, man. I haven't even been, so yeah, I'm definitely jealous, man. You're gonna enjoy it yourself, though.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Gonna bring the camera out with me. You know, just make a few videos, bro. Like get some memories down, dude. Just you know, it's always so euphoric to go to another country, dude, and just experience culture and food and all that stuff, man. Meet people.
I agree.
It's very it simplifies everything for you, you know. It just
Oh, for sure. No, I
humbles you
agree.
down.
100%.
Yeah, man. So you're born in North Carolina, born and raised there. Um, did you so as you went through your schooling, did you go to college also in North Carolina?
Yes, it's gonna sound very plain Jane. Yes, I went to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte.
My
So yeah, I'm
man.
from Charlotte. I live currently in Charlotte, and I went to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte.
Yeah, yeah. And when did you start when did you start messing around with music?
I was probably a senior in high school when
Okay.
I actually was like, I'm going to take this seriously. So I was a
Yeah.
senior in high school. At the time, probably didn't take it as seriously as I do now, but my mindset was definitely like, I want to be an artist. And I called myself Princeton at the age of like 17. So, I wanted to pick something that felt like it could resonate and it could stick. I didn't want to be called like Lil Juju or something like that. And then
Yeah,
like, 15 years from now, I'd still have to keep the same name. So I
yeah,
wanted something that I thought was pristine. And I don't know, it just Princeton just sounded like I like the artist Prince.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, Princeton sounded sophisticated to an extent. So I was like, I like Princeton.
Yeah, man.
So probably
Princeton's
couldn't get into the university, but I like Princeton. Like the name Princeton. So
nah,
that's kind
nah.
of like the origin story. Senior in high school, definitely got it started. So,
Yeah, and was it with the hip hop stuff or was it like a different musical set?
um, I guess a real origin story was like I grew up on like rock and like old school rock, and when I was 11, I got to record a cover of two songs at Sun Studios in Memphis, and
Okay.
Sun Studios was like where Elvis Presley recorded, among other artists, like that rockabilly or rock genre. So I got to do "Great Balls of Fire" and "Tutti Frutti," two like classic rock songs, and I got to perform that when I was 11. So that museum that they recorded it had like a studio in the back, and you could pay like I think it was like $30 for two songs. And
Okay.
you basically kind of did like a karaoke version, but you got your vocals recorded, and you got to be like in a vocal booth. And yeah, no, I've really been around music, I guess, like a lot of people, around their whole lives, and
Yeah.
definitely through different genres. So I think it's when I was like 14 to 15, 16, I got into like hip hop. So like Kanye West, Drake was starting to get
Yeah.
really big, or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
pretty much big at that point. But Kanye, like, some Jay-Z, but mainly like Kanye, Kid Cudi, Drake, like that kind of more introspective rap,
Yeah.
talking about oneself and, how they perceive the world. And that's kind of how I just like started gravitating, because I was like, man, these guys, especially Kanye and Drake, I was like, man, these guys, like, we live like the same life or something. I just saw a lot of myself in them, even though I was like a kid, I felt like that was something that stuck out to me, those type of the lyrics that they were talking about, it felt like a
Yeah.
lot of stuff I was going through. So,
Yeah, dude, and that's such a good note there, right? And before we even jump into that, dude, I know, dude. So when Drake has been giving us fuel for 20, 15, 20 years now,
yeah,
right? Like he's
yeah.
been getting us through a lot of hard times, good
Hmm.
times, despite all the stuff that goes on with him and all that stuff. It's like, bro, that dude's been giving us hitters and fueling us for
Yep.
my
Come
pretty
on.
for my whole conscious life of music, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I cannot even knock that dude, man. And Kanye had his time, I think, in my opinion, right? Kanye had his run, and I think it was the
Hmm.
best run because I was like, late middle school, early high school, early college, and then he kind of flew off the
Hmm.
rails. But
Yep.
that dude was a lyrical genius, and then yeah, Cudi is one of the goats too, man. I know he's been struggling with things recently, but that initial like with the Maui Wowie and Man on the Moon, all that stuff,
Yeah.
that was like
Yeah.
that was
And I, and I
my
and
shit.
I
Yeah.
think, some of those guys, I know like they have, their issues today. So I think I don't really, I guess I used to more so idolize people like that, but now I feel like you just have to give them grace. And I don't know, I feel like I could see why I resonated with them, because they were going through a lot of, struggles, themselves. And I feel like that's why we relate to certain people, because we see them, obviously this is before I think Kanye went all the way crazy, but
Yeah.
just seeing people like fall down and, understand that they get tied up with, things like lust or, consumerism, or, just things that we go on in our everyday lives. And that's how you're like, man, like this guy's relatable.
Yeah, yeah, they're human beings, right? Like just like
Yep.
we are, right? They go through their own problems. They
Hmm.
even though they've achieved some sort of upper echelon of
Yep.
success, but they go through this shit like we do too,
Yeah.
And like, we got to all give each other space and grace,
Yeah.
wherever we're at, and also people try out new sounds too, right? And you might be used to one person giving you a certain type of sound, and then when they change it up, you might be like, oh, I don't fuck with this person anymore, and that's your
Hmm.
prerogative, but people got to try new things too, right? It's hard to put out the same type of flow for your whole entire career, right? Like we change as
Really.
human beings. The person I was 5 years ago is not the person I am now, right?
Exactly.
And some people might not
Exactly.
fuck with me now who did back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
no, yeah, no, I'm learning that as an artist right now.
yeah,
Like you said, like just putting out music, and how my tastes have shifted, my ideology, just everything, my own self concept of growth and everything has changed from when I was 5 years ago. So that
Yeah.
means like the music is a representation, so it just starts to come out as such.
Yeah, yeah. And before, so jumping back to your original note here, just
Hmm.
before you became like an artist, right? Before you started diving in like senior year of high school and diving a little bit further
Hmm.
into it, like what was music to you? Like what did you use it as? What was it? What did it mean to Princeton before you decided to like dive into the industry?
I think music was just like, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it was definitely like a lifeline. Music was definitely a lifeline. I knew like almost like every like major artist from like Earth, Wind and Fire to Michael Jackson to the Beatles. I knew like most of their catalog by the time I was like 13. This was something that I just loved listening to music. I was like, yeah, like in the morning, like the radio, CDs. CDs had a good run.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I just really gravitated towards like anything music, and I would like even perform like the songs in my living room. My parents can attest to that. I would just like sing the like Michael Jackson songs or like Little
Yeah.
Richard songs or whatever, whoever the artist may be. I was just like loved performing, and that combined with music. Because when I was also a kid, I would take some lyrics and rewrite them from like popular songs or do it to the tune of those songs. So I would rewrite lyrics. So all this stuff just feels very natural to me, being an artist. I think there wasn't anything sort of divine. I think I just was really like, let me try my hand at this because I love it so much. And I know how to, I feel like I can write really well. So, and writing lyrics just came kind of like rhyming and lyric writing and different forms of literary elements just kind of came like kind of natural, from school and things like that. So I think
Yeah.
at first I was kind of shying away for it because I'm like, I don't want to tell my parents that, or like I'm a rapper or stuff like that. But it just naturally just was like, man, this is something that I want to do because I feel really, into it. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate that. I can appreciate you acknowledging it, right? As you grow up and a lot, it's a non-traditional path, and a lot of times, you know, people cannot understand that. People can be judgmental about it. People can have like raise an eyebrow to it, and that all you can have a hard exterior shell, but at some point, it can affect you, right? It can affect your inspiration and your creativity. And I'm very happy that it didn't for you, because you went down and pursued it, like you keep growing in it. Um,
yeah,
and that to me is phenomenal because not to go all over the place, but it seems like music was what I would call like with the grain for you, right? You weren't fighting, it was smooth, it was fluid for
yeah,
you. It was a natural direction. And
hmm,
I always like to acknowledge those things because I won't say it was easy for you, but it was natural for you, right? Whereas
yes,
some other endeavors might not have been natural for you. You might have felt like
correct,
you were pushing against it, but like and that to over time I feel like is unhealthy. But
yes,
every time there's something that I find joy in, something that effortlessly I do, right?
yeah,
Whether it's reaching out to people to podcasts, making little videos,
hmm,
things like that. Those things I proactively think about. So there's something there, right?
yeah,
There's something to notate there that it's naturally in line with my personality. There's
hmm.
other things that I've tried my hand at where I'm like, that feels like work to me. That feels like a job to me. I don't want to do that, And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's parts of what you do that are administrative and
Hmm.
logistical and things like that, but I'm sure it doesn't feel like too much work for you, right? Because it's something that you love doing.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably read the book Atomic Habits.
Hmm.
There's the Goldilocks rule, which is like you can have peak motivation for something that, generally aligns with you. So I feel like that, writing music for me is something that, came natural, but obviously it didn't come easy. I think like exactly what you said. It came natural, but it didn't come easy. So I had some sort of natural talent at it. I just had to spend time, sorry, crafting it. Yeah, so that, yeah, like I said, it definitely came like somewhat easy in terms of like some sort of raw talent towards it, but then like crafting it took like hours on end of like just getting better at it. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely, I guess, fortunate that I picked something that, probably the longest thing that I've ever stuck with. This has been like 10, 12 years of
Yeah.
just making music.
Yeah.
And I guess that's more than most can say because I guess I've never really been a quitter too. So I guess I was like, man, I got to see this through. And then
Yeah.
like a few years in, it's like I guess I should see this through more. So now I'm starting to feel like I'm on the other side of things, and it's really taken off like astronomically. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm very happy that this delayed gratification didn't stop me from pushing through at the times when I was like, I don't know, man, I don't see anything. So,
Yeah.
there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
That's so smooth, dude. That's such a good note. Is it's there's all these things that I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know. With my brief chat with you right now, and when we
Hmm.
touched base before, it seems like even if you didn't pop, you still be making music, right? And
Yeah,
that to me is something like so profound because it's like why wouldn't you listen to this dude, man? Because no matter what, he's gonna be making music. He's doing his thing. He loves this thing, and that
yeah,
echoes through in your sound, and that echoes through in your music and your production, and just the fact that you keep inclining, right?
yep. That's
And that to me is it's like a superpower, man. It's something that is very, very like out of this world, man. So I
yeah,
appreciate you
yeah.
echoing that through.
And yeah, I think along with Atomic Habits, something else that I learned from that book was like, sometimes you think that success and practice are linear. So the more you practice, the more everything's like a straight diagonal shape. But a lot of this is like it starts as like a curve and it goes slow, and then it can really like uptick like
Yeah.
that. So just understanding that, and probably one of the biggest virtues that I've had to learn is just like patience, because I definitely grew up like someone that was just like wanting it right here, right now, and this
Yeah.
is something that 10 years ago, if you were to tell me like you gotta wait like 10 years for this, I've been like, heck no. But
Yeah.
at the time, you just keep, going through the grind of it, and you just 10 years later, you're like, oh man, wow, I've been able to do X, Y, Z. So
Yeah, dude, it's outstanding, man. And do you and I know like you said you were having a little bit of maybe an internal debacle about like telling your parents that you were a rapper. Like how are they now with it? Like now that you have been in the game for a long time and you're so passionate about it.
they definitely support me now. I think
Yeah.
it just takes like building your foundation, and I think what really sold my anyone that that I was really about it. I think that was really what, at the end of the day, I think parents just want you to pursue stuff that you put your all into. I would say that any parent would be like, yeah, just make sure you give it your best. So I think, once I became a lot more focused and dialed in on, that this is what I want to do, be an artist, then, I think anyone besides my parents, starts to support me. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I'm glad. I'm glad that your parents
yeah,
support you. I'm glad
yeah.
that like, it seems like they got your back in the cause too because
Hmm.
I mean, obviously like I know you're the type of dude who would probably get it done no matter what, but it feels good
Yeah,
to have support, right? It feels good to
yeah.
and especially the people you love, like your parents. It feels
Hmm.
good to have their support, man. So I'm happy
Yeah.
that they're
My
not.
dad, my dad was telling me the other day, he was like, man, I just wish I had like connects to help you out. And I
Yeah,
was just
that's
like,
awesome.
I was just like, but I was like, hey, this is something that I guess, it falls on me, to make happen. It would be nice. I would love to have been like some sort of Nepo baby, but, a lot of this is, I'm having to carve out my own path. So,
Yeah, yeah, homegrown, dude.
yeah, it's definitely a lot, man. It's definitely a lot of sheer will in order to, have ideas and bring them to life. Definitely, it takes a lot of sheer will.
Yeah,
I
dude.
will say that.
Powering through, man. And I like, it's one of those things where I'm sure you got to take your breaks sometimes, right? Because you're pushing fast, you're pushing hard. You know what I mean? You're gunning it, and you probably need some
Hmm.
rest here and there. What one item on that too is that I'll speak for myself. So when I
Go.
first
Yeah.
started my podcast, was I had some like when you're first doing something new, you're putting yourself out there. You feel a little bit like I'll say I felt a little bit cringe about the things I was saying, and sometimes
Yep.
I'll listen to it back. I'd be like, oh man, like what am I doing? Did you
For
ever
sure.
have those moments of like self doubt throughout your journey, like to this point?
Yeah, no, there's definitely self-doubt. I would say one story I think was, man, I just put out maybe like a couple songs. It was like SoundCloud, and I ended up getting like a fake call from like kids from my high school of like basically just like some that they were like talking about they were for some label, and I need to send them some music, and that was one of the things that really like just the first off I was like, man, like this is like an uphill battle. But at the time I was just like, man, I just got to keep going because I just believed in myself a lot. And to answer your question, there was Justin Bieber put out a song called Confident back in like 2013,
Okay.
and I did a remix to it, but my singing was terrible. And I put a video out like that, and I thought it was going to get a better reception, but most of the reception was just like laughing emojis, like the crying, because they thought I was like trolling or making a joke, and I was like, at the time, being serious, but the song was not good at all. And
Yeah.
so those are one of the times where I was like having self doubt because I was like, man, like it just feels like I put effort into this, and it didn't. That's when I was really wanting to receive external validation. So I definitely was doubting myself of what I could do. But I'm glad for that moment. I'm glad I was able to sing that song because now I'm a lot better singer. And I think
Yeah.
it's one of those where you have to go through some sort of cringe. And even to this day, I still have to do some cringy stuff. It's by putting yourself out there, it could be cringe to somebody. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
in order to, I think it's always like a stepping stone to get to like the next path.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, cringe is I mean, yeah, even I'll post like videos like today and I'll be like, man, like I did a lot for that video. And it's like it's okay, but it's like, well, you need to keep your momentum up, you need to keep it consistent up. Just
Yeah.
put it out, let it like don't be attached to the outcome. Just let the chips fall where they may, and keep moving on to the next.
That's a great, you know, mental frame right there is to
Hmm.
not worry about the outcome, right?
Yes.
Like if you believe in it, then just do
Hmm.
it. Just do
Yes.
it. Don't worry about the outcome. Be unattached from the outcome because
Yes.
at that point it doesn't matter, right? Like you said,
Hmm.
it's you're doing it with a purity of heart, with goodwill,
Yep.
with good intentions, and at baseline, that's all that matters, right?
Yep. I think, yeah, because if you care so much about the outcome, then a lot of it, I did care a lot about outcomes, and a lot of it, everything would just repel off of me
Yeah.
because, because I care too much. And I think when the universe, shows that you're going to be okay without said thing that you want, then that's when they'll give it to you. If
Yeah.
you're mentally stable enough, not mentally able enough to understand, like, the thing that I want, I'm going to be okay if I don't have it. You can desire it all you want. You should desire it as much as you want. But if you're like, pushing your, like, grinding your gears, like, I need to have this thing, I need to have this thing, then, if you don't embody that, then the universe won't give it to you. So I think that's what, the detachment of just being okay with this song or this piece of content and just like, all right, let's just put it out there instead of like, this is the thing that's going to make me, the next star, it has to be, it's just
Yeah.
kind of, it's really helped my mindset of like the last couple of years because now I'm just on like an output craze. I've just been really like just going ham on the
Yeah.
output just because I'm like, man, let me not just care about every single little thing. Let me just go like, bang, like knock it out.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably feels liberating, right?
Yes, it feels a lot liberating because, you wanted, some of the stuff I wanted like 5 years ago, some sort of like recognition or accolades. And, I'm starting to see some of that, appear right now, but I don't care about it as much as I did 5 years ago. And I was like, man, how is this coming about now? So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's amazing,
it's
dude.
interesting how that, yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting how like as you have experience, right? And that's the whole thing that you're saying is that you're every time you put something out, you're having an experience. Every time you
Yes,
go do something, you're having an experience.
yes,
Through experience, you build confidence, right? You're
yes.
like I've done that, and that before, so
Hmm.
this can't be that bad, right?
Yeah.
Right? This is gonna
Yeah,
be like another experience.
I put myself through the fire. I put myself through some cringe so that what's this next one gonna be like? I'll be okay mentally. I'll shake it off.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's why the reps are important, right? That's why you keep doing it sometimes without the outcome because you know
Yep.
that the confidence is coming, the momentum is coming, and things of that sort, man. And on a quick side note, how do you find how do you put yourself into creative mode? Like how do you play? How do you get yourself into a mode where you when you record, when you write, when you're doing some like when you're gathering your thoughts to create, how do you get into mode?
I would say this has probably been different from when I first started to where I started right now. Currently, I would say it's more of like a little more structured, just because I want to be like, all right, I know this week I want to be able to write this verse or stuff like that. So I'll have like certain reminders for me that I need to be thinking about it. But
Yep.
the general creativity is like maybe I'll have a line, I'll start thinking about a line in the shower, or
Yeah.
like, if I'm at the airport catching a flight, or I do pretty good on a plane, honestly. I would say on a plane, I definitely, because I'm not on my phone,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
attached to anything else. I'm clear mind. So on a plane, I get pretty much, I have some beats loaded up, all right, to it. But
Sick.
just, I think I used to be like more like, no, this inspiration is just gonna like divinely hit me. And I feel like sometimes, you have to kind of get the ball rolling, because, the motion may not be there if nothing's in motion. So I think nowadays I have a better workflow in terms of just channeling creativity, but kind of keeping myself in order of like, all right, I need to start working on this song. Instead of, I probably used to as like a young teenager, I was like, oh, it'll hit me, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I procrastinate. And then when I needed to go to the studio, I was like, the day before, the day of, like, all right, I need to get these, lyrics down. So it would get done. It just didn't feel as natural sometimes, because I was like, oh, inspiration is going to be divine. It's going to hit me. I'll figure it out. But it's like, maybe if you just chip away, or just, put a little something into motion, then it'll start to matriculate.
Yeah, and it's kind of paradoxical, right? Because when you think
Yep.
about creativity, you think about something that's like unstructured and
Yes.
and
Yeah.
flows and the gates are
Hmm.
open, right? But then when you think about the way that, you're describing it, you have to put some structured time around it, right? You
Yeah.
have to put a little bit of a rigor
Hmm.
around it,
Yeah.
and it becomes something a little bit different. But when
Hmm.
you have that focused energy around it, it actually, I think, in my opinion, becomes more impactful, right? Because
Yes.
you're having this focused time to specifically be creative. And in that
Yeah.
moment, anything is possible, right? For that
Yes.
hour on the plane, for that
Yeah.
plane ride, anything is possible in your mind.
Yeah. You're not confining your ideas. You're just confining the way that the ideas come from it. I would
Yeah.
say that's yeah, no, dang, that was profound right there. I just got that. But no, but yeah, I would say, yeah, like I'm not like holding myself down, like I gotta do this right now here. It's just like, all right, just put yourself in a space where you don't have any distractions, or like, be thinking about it. Put it in the back of your head, oh, I probably need to be working on this. Like, let me think of like a quick line or two. For me, that's like when I write a verse. Let me just get a line or two, just to have some, get the juices flowing. So
Yeah. Wet your
I
whistle
think
a little
that's,
bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
100%.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, even for me, like when I'm working with clients, like if I'm doing like videos or photos for like a wedding or something like that, right?
Hmm.
Or even a project that somebody asked me to do for them, like kind of hired me for. It's like I have to get all the raw video before I can do something creative with it, right? It's like I might have a vision beforehand, but it's good to come to that engagement with a vision. But the course of the engagement always takes a different direction than what I initially thought, right?
Yes.
So I have a framework, but then when I sit with the video, I get the personality of the individuals that I was videotaping and photographing, and I understand like kind of what their story is a little bit better when I listen to them, right? Then a story begins to form itself. But
Hmm.
if I just went in there with like no ideas and like, oh, it's all gonna hit me, then
Yeah.
then it might not be
When,
as polished, right? When it comes
yeah,
to fruition, you know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. It would be raw. Let's say
Right.
that,
Yeah,
not as
exactly.
polished.
Exactly, man.
And yeah, and I think that is also like what you were saying. I mean, I feel like, you know, you're picking up stuff, from this conversation. I'll probably pick up one or two things, from what you're saying, that I'm like, oh, I like that. And I think that's, why I've just been trying to be on a output craze, because I feel like every time I'm, getting a rep in, or like, doing a new experience, I'm like learning. Like, even if I'm just learning one thing,
Yeah.
I'm taking away something that if I would have just stayed in my room, or, been goofing off elsewhere, I wouldn't be, learning. And I think that's one of my biggest, pillars of my life, is just like always trying to be a sponge, and, always knowing that, I don't know enough, and, wanting to know more.
Yeah, man. And that's a being a student of life is a
Yes.
great perspective to have, dude, because
And I know that's one of your pillars too.
yeah, absolutely, man. It's like the second I feel like I know what's going on, that's where
You're like,
that's
hold up,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, no, no, no. Like
hold
that's
up, hold up.
incorrect, right?
I gotta take myself down a
Yeah, right, right.
peg.
Turn it down a notch, bring
Yeah.
yourself down because dude, in all these facets, man, like we spend a lot of time doing things, right? You have over 10,000 hours probably in your craft, like I do my thing a lot and it's easy to think that like I know like what the fuck's going on, right? But that's a huge fallacy, dude, because I would close myself off to so many experiences. I would close myself off to if I domineered this conversation, I probably wouldn't learn half the things that you're telling me right now. right? Because
Correct.
I would probably think I know something, but you know, the like all the tidbits that you've described to me now, right? I'll listen to this back and be like, I'll go on a walk and listen to this podcast later and be like, oh, you know, that was thought provoking. That was a way to reframe my thought process, you
Hmm.
know? And sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes it's a simple phrase that somebody says a different way for it to
Hmm.
lock in hard, you know? And you're just like, oh,
Correct.
okay, I bet, you know, I'm gonna
Yeah.
start taking that with me as I go through my days, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, man. As you have progressed, right, as into your music career, how do you find your sound, right? And I might have like kind of already asked you one version of this question, but what, you know, in terms of your creative process and things like that, but how do you decide that, let's say for your most recent project, like there's definitely a thematic like approach that you took to it, right? It all feels like it lives on the same album, right? It doesn't feel very disjointed, you know? It feels like you got into the room, you thought about each song, and it's all different, but it relates to each other. You know what I mean? That's at least how I felt when I went through it. You know what I mean? And so maybe that wasn't your intent with the album, right? Um,
uh,
but how do you find your sound for your different projects?
Oof. Well, speaking on this, the last one, make sure everyone watching go stream Breaking the Action, all
Go
available all now.
stream it. Go stream it.
Um, Actually, some of the songs have been previously released. So, I don't know how to describe it. So, not quite as like, oh, I'm gonna make these songs, but I had a couple songs pop like this, Sumimasen. They were very much like very front facing, very like banger, I guess, if you had to describe it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so I was like, okay, those, I've done an album before. So I was like, oh, okay, those can kick off the project. Those can really set the tone. And then Sound of the Beat, actually, I recorded that song like 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
And but that was the one that I was like, all right, I recorded 4 years ago, and I feel like I was ahead of the curve because a lot of people probably didn't make that kind of song 4 years ago of that Brazilian funk
Yeah,
with like
yeah.
English. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But
man.
I Sin is actually has like a Brazilian funk vibe to it as well. And I was like, so now I made some of my sin. I was like, I found this beat online, and I was like, man, I mean, ended up making the song to my sin. I was like, yo, this is a hit. Like, this is a banger. This is
Dang.
raw. And I was like, hold up, I have this song from like 4 years ago, that Sound of the Beat. That was also, it's a really good song. I just felt like I didn't want to put it as like a standalone single. So I think that's why I was like, all right, wait, I have a Brazilian funk s song, and then I have this other Brazilian funk s song. I was like, all right, this is where a project can be birthed from this.
Yeah.
And so those songs were already created. And then the song Destiny, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's more of your introspective, like dig deep type of a little bit of darkness, honestly. I would say it's a little darker record. I definitely say some things that are definitely like intrusive, but I wanted it to be like really raw, and like I knew exactly the
Understood.
vibe I was going for. And then the other part of the album was also, I had a couple songs called Time Keeps Wasting, and that's a very like very chill, but a very like intrusive, not intrusive, introspective
Yeah,
record.
yeah, yeah.
So I think, like you said, it kind of worked out because when I was structuring the album, I was like, okay, this song would go well after this song. This song would go well. Like the Sumasen and the Sound of the Beat, both Brazilian, like they need to go back to back. And then I had a song called Venaki that I listened. I was like, that's a really smooth listen. So I was like, let me bring it back. Like have a nice like upbeat party vibe, and then have a very chill but a good song in the well. And then I was like, all right, let me take it left field. Let me hit him with Destiny, which is also a Brazilian, not funk, but a Brazilian
Yeah.
inspired song as well. So I was like, okay, half the project should be Brazilian inspired, like whether it's funk or whatnot. And then I wanted to. I think that's a lot of what Princeton is. It's like, I definitely have those forms of hedonism, I guess, where I have good times. I like to turn up, and then but then we bring it back, and then we try to take things that, like, self-awareness and different
Yeah.
introspective topics that I like to talk about
Yeah.
myself. So that's kind of like where it kind of switched. Like the project ended up like switching halfway through. And then I threw like a bonus song that was like more of like a fun song. So that's why it's called bonus, because it doesn't fit. So that's why I was like, it's a bonus. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because if you would have just had Time Keeps Wasting, then that would have been an excellent way to end it. But I was like, let me throw another song on there just for the streams.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me get some more streams off of that. So
let me
I was
put
like,
it out.
I didn't think this one got enough streams the first time. So I was like, let me just put it out. Let me get it some new life.
Throw it back on
So
there, dude. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like the project definitely stemmed from having like just like these songs go together. And then I was just on a roll, man. I just like performed at like a fashion show, a
Sick.
Peruvian festival. So I was definitely acclimating some like great performances. So I was like, man, I feel like I'm really just going on a run, and I want a project to kind of encapsulate that.
Yeah.
So everything just kind of came together, and I had a friend that was at like a content event, and he like took a great photo of me. He goes by the name of Fitz, and he made this photo, and I was like, I joked with him a couple months back, and I was like, hey, that's gonna be my next project cover,
Yeah.
and then ended up coming full circle. I was like, you know what, that's got to be the project cover right there. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a fresh, warm photo, dude. You're looking off into the distance, dude. Shades on, bro. It's fresh.
so everything just kind of came very organically, just because I was like, mind you, I've only released a project. I released a project like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I've just been releasing a lot of singles. But I was like, why not just release a project? Even if I have some of the songs that have already been out, like let's take some old ones, let's take some new ones, let's package it up again, like give the old ones some new life, and then let the new ones fall where they be, and just really like I wanted to have like a moment to be like a timestamp, like wow, this was a point of my life where I was really just like full throttle with music and just being an artist. And I wanted, a project to be like, man, that's a great body of work right there. And
Yeah.
that's everything just kind of like flowed into that. And I was like, you know what? I was wanting to push it back, and I was like, nah, I just like just drop it.
On
Like
it, bro.
let's get this thing out. I can worry about the ad spin and everything later after it's already released, but like let's not try to tamper with it too much. Like we got the songs ready, but Destiny was definitely the last song that was recorded, and I wrote that thing maybe like in June. So
Okay.
we really, and I recorded like in July. So like we had a really quick turnaround with that one. But that one I felt I was like I need that one because it has like a smooth violin, and it's a little darker than the other songs. So I was like I needed something to give it a little more edge, give it a little more
Yeah.
nuance. I think that's something that I really like to tap into.
100%, man. And it seems like, going back to my original question, it just seems like it was you, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it was just you. Like the inspiration was, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, was Princeton. And
I was
hearing you describe that is very inspiring, man, because I always like to ask, if I can speak to somebody who's musically inclined, like where do you draw inspiration from? Where like for something creative, right? For something that's original. And
hmm
it always is an answer like that, right? It's like, oh, dude, I was just doing this, I was doing this, I was thinking that, I was thinking that, and then somehow it all came together at the end of the day, and you're just
Yep.
like, fuck yeah, dude, because
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's a mess that's
Damn.
beautiful that turns into
Yeah.
a polished product at the end of the day, right? With your vision on it, and I think that's phenomenal.
And as anyone that's creative, it's like, we definitely are not, I'm not the best with structure. So it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, I have these songs, but I like, all right, let's spend a little more time and like, let's have a little more vision. And I
Yeah,
think that's where like the project came out. I was like, I just need a little more vision. I was like, all right, let's take a step back. I got XYZ song already out. Sumasen, Pop Like This already out. All right, let's tie this in. Let's piece. Like it was just kind of like now I'm like creating a painting. Like I'm
yeah,
just
yeah,
like or I'm in the lab, just like all right, let's mix this and that. I'm like okay, and then the finished product. So everything, I don't know. It just feels that's where I'm like you feel like the maestro at an orchestra. Everything just started like I'm like the Hangover, Alan and the Hangover, all the numbers
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
coming together. Like that's where I was like, oh, everything's clicking on every cylinder. I was like, oh wow, this is coming a lot better than than I imagined.
Yeah, yeah, man, totally, dude. And I mean, when I was listening to Suma Sen at first when it came on, like I was just like kind of doing the dishes and stuff like that. And this is like a full on. This is a compliment coming from me. Like it was very Jack Harlow like flow, dude. And I was like, I love Jack Harlow. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay.
So that's why I was like, oh, dude. I was feeling because he's got that like he has that Drake flow to him where it's smooth on the ears, right?
hmm
And it's very witty. You feel like,
Yes,
oh,
yeah,
okay, shit, that was a nice one. Oh, all
yeah,
right, all right. And then like, he can sing, right? He can kind of
yeah,
sing a little bit and
yeah, a little
get
bit.
the right. And then I was like,
Yep,
this is nice. This is
yeah,
flowing, bro. This is going well. And I actually didn't know that you sang like that, bro. I was, and I know you got that on multiple tracks on there because the other stuff you've been putting out that I was listening to prior in years past
Mhm.
is like all rap. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Flowy, dude. All good. You
Yeah.
know, it's like it's not harsh trap rap, right?
Yeah.
It's music that flows that you can put
Yeah.
on while you do anything, while you run, work out, while you cleaning too, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I appreciate about your sound. But the fact that you picked up the singing thing like shows
Hmm.
me and confident enough to throw it on an album
Hmm.
leads me to believe you've been practicing that for quite a bit.
Yeah, like I said, when I made that like Justin Bieber song, like I did not know anything about vocals or just like utilizing my voice to like the best that it can be.
Yeah,
And I would definitely say I'm not a like a God given like singer, like where I was like, man, I could blow you away with my vocals, but I definitely have a lot of melody in me. And now I have singing tones that I know I can carry out to
right.
really match that. So like Destiny, like I'm singing on that. I'm rapping in between, but I'm singing on
Yeah,
that one. Venaki, I'm singing Venaki, Venaki.
yeah,
Even if it's a little
yeah.
light, but I'm still providing some sort of melody and using my vocal tone. So no, I definitely like put a lot of time into like having that singing aspect because those are my favorite artists like Drake, like
Yeah,
someone like Russ, Drake.
yeah.
Jack Harlow to an extent, he doesn't have a great singing voice, but Russ has a really good singing voice. Drake
Russ
has a
does.
great singing voice. Someone like, even though I mean he's in jail right now, Tory Lanez, has a great singing voice as
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well. Those kind of people, I was like, man, like they have an edge and they have a different side that can appeal to artists or to consumers. So I was like, man, I would love to just have a different element, where I don't feel like I'm in one box.
Yeah,
That's something
yeah.
that's big to me. Just having versatility is something that really sticks out to me.
Yeah, yeah. And like there's something about how do I put it? Um, like, someone who like let's say you got someone like fucking like Ariana Grande, right? Who's a
Hmm.
great like natural. I mean, she practices, but she's a great singer, right? Like Weekend, those type of people. Great singers, John Legend. But then there's something so relatable about someone like Drake or you or Jack Harlow singing
Yeah.
because it's like, dude, I'm not saying I could do that. I'm terrible at singing, but it's more relatable. It makes me
Yeah.
feel like, dude, like this guy's just bopping in the studio, having a good time, floating around. He's not just sitting there like, using the fucking tuner to like get his voice up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
feels
No,
so relatable.
I think like Mac Miller, I think was a great example. Like
Yeah,
he couldn't really sing, but he could hold like a little tune.
yeah,
So, and it's like easy for me to sing along because like I don't have a great singing voice either. So like artists like that, like Drake, it's like, oh, he's not doing anything crazy. He sounds good, but it's like
yeah,
he's not, belting out any crazy notes. So I'm like, oh, I need to be making songs like, like that, where I'm just using my voice to an extent, but other people can sing along and, enjoy it, like you said, catch a
yeah,
vibe.
yeah, yeah, man. Like, dude, summer day, you having a drink or two, man. A nice Drake song
Hmm.
comes on, you start singing it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like
Literally.
that. Like, it's like one of those things where you could carry out that whole song because like it's not like he's doing anything off the rails, right? Like I might sound a little shittier, but it's like I could catch that tone probably for the most
Yeah,
part. You know
exactly.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
and that's what makes it
Yep.
so good, dude. It's just like it feels
No,
like
man.
it feels like a bop, dude. It's just
No, for
and
sure.
I'm all about that, dude. I love
Hell
that
yeah.
energy, dude.
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. And outside of that, man, what do you got? But that you're willing to share, right? What do you got on the horizon? What's next for Princeton after this banger of an album has dropped?
I would say it's probably my first time talking about it. I'm really just going after like more of the aesthetic of being like an artist slash like celebrity, honestly, because now that's what I said like 5 years ago I wanted this, and now it's like I'm starting to get a little more notoriety and
Yeah,
notice in the city that I'm from, at least. And it's like, okay, so like I'm going to New York this weekend,
let's
and
go.
I got rejected from like one fashion show, and but I have a friend. He's like I'm gonna style you this weekend.
All
So
right.
he's like, so I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like just
Yep.
gonna go like full on into like just enjoying like the fashion aspect of like what artists do. So I think that's something that I'm just looking forward to. I'm still obviously gonna be making music, but
Yeah.
I feel like I got a good bit of catalog right now, and I just dropped a project that I don't need to release something just super fast. I
Right.
want the project to kind of last, kind of like how artists did back in the day. J. Cole, let the project
Let it
simmer a little
sit.
bit,
Yeah.
let it sit, and yeah, man, I'm just really just like enjoying this. I'm being like a young single guy, and
Yeah.
getting to travel all over the world, quite frankly, and
That's amazing.
just because I know you like traveling too, and I'm very fortunate. My dad worked for the airline, so
Oh,
I
sick.
get
That's
like this. So I get like discounted flights. So that's why I'm always trying to go somewhere, expand my horizon. And I think it all just culminates into the brand that's Princeton, man. Somebody that's like wanting to adventure. And I think that's something that I feel like, you have these archetypes. And I definitely was like into the underdog archetype a lot
Okay.
because I definitely felt like I was behind the eight ball a lot of times where like, said like people were prank calling me in high school and, definitely was getting clowned because I definitely didn't look like the stereotypical artist or, somebody that was like, oh wow, this guy's gonna blow us away. So I feel
Yeah.
like I definitely lived a lot of that of being the underdog and now it's like maybe I'm not so much the underdog as much anymore. So I just want to enjoy, being an artist, being like basically just, I could like say whatever I want on a record, and I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people, feel sometimes that they can't open up or have some sort of alter ego or just some sort of outlet or escape
Yeah.
to, express themselves. So, I'm just taking full advantage of that. That's
Yeah.
Princeton. So,
Instant.
yeah, man.
Yeah, no, that strikes a chord. That strikes a big chord, right? And because, there's I have a day job, right? I'm
Hmm.
assuming you got a day job too. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we got to do these things where we have to be certain people, right? Like I try to
Hmm.
be authentic at work. I try to
Yep.
be authentic in my day to day,
But
but
to an extent.
to an extent, right? There's certain things we can and can't do. There's certain things we can and can't say. And I think that's appropriate, right? I think that's totally appropriate. However, I feel as if you thwart that for too long, you're doing
Yeah.
yourself a disservice.
It's gonna be like, yeah, aching you and throbbing at your heart.
Yeah, I feel like you'll pick up a bad habit, like
Hmm.
it'll get out somehow, right?
You'll so yeah.
It'll manifest
And
negatively, I'm sure.
correct. And we're only positivity here. Come on now.
Hey, come on now, dude. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, and I think and I'd like to touch on that if you have a minute too,
I
because
got all the time, brother.
yeah, because I feel like that was something that I think in my own personal life, I definitely felt like I was a very positive person and a really nice person, but sometimes, when you get like taken advantage of that kind of stuff, you still feel like you have to put on like the nice guy or like the positive framework when, some of this stuff is very nuanced. And I don't know, I think I saw something that Robert Greene said and it was just like, man, you just have to kind of be aware that you do have a lot of like, where lightness comes like darkness. So, I know I feel like I can, omit a lot of light in this world, but it definitely stems from like understanding that I have a lot of deep seated darkness in me. But
Yeah,
wanting to choose, like, what do you want to choose at the end of the day? Like, you have an angel, you have a demon on your shoulder. And I think it's like sometimes, you can falter sometimes, but, it's ultimately like, how do you want to go about your life? Because a lot of this negativity will just keep you in pitfalls and,
yeah,
make you, really turn into someone that, is not how you want to be at the end of the day. So I feel like that's something that you go through it with positivity, but everything's not going to be peachy keen all the time. And just understanding that, things do, you can have, really negative thoughts and feelings, but, ultimately just like knowing that they're in you and that you're capable of bringing them out. It's just, you don't
yeah,
have to.
yeah,
That's
man.
something that,
And I think I definitely got to go back and listen to Destiny like a little bit deeper, because I'm not recalling like the lyrical content in there right
yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah.
But for with what you're comfortable sharing, like what types of demons do you struggle with when it comes to your day to day, your musical journey, just life? Like what are the fears that eat away at you, and
Yeah.
what sometimes threatens your success, that is homegrown from inside you.
I would say definitely like ego is probably one of the biggest
Yeah,
pitfalls that I definitely, have time and time again like fall into. Because sometimes I'm like, damn, I gotta audition for this, or like, it's like, why don't they already like see me as
yeah,
such? Like and I feel like I have enough of a track record to where like I can, say certain things, and sometimes my ego definitely, gets in the way because it's definitely something that's in your head and not, letting, God work through that. And then yeah, I mean other pitfalls is like I don't know. It's just kind of or like other things that just kind of rattle my mind. It's just like, it's just a lot of like darkness that, I definitely grew up like an only child. And, I definitely have like moments where I felt alone, where like, I had nobody there for me. In my head, I felt like had nobody there for me because you just get like down in the dumps and you don't feel like, there's ways to get yourself out of that. And I think with the music journey, it definitely felt like I was going through that again because it's like, man, I was just getting shitted on a lot. And it just
Yeah.
felt like you're trying to have this, like you're holding on to something and like, everyone's just like poking fun at it or just like, kind of ruining your dreams.
Yeah.
And that's why I really feel like I really like when I hear people that are like younger than me that really hold on to those dreams because I feel like I definitely have had those, and I've had moments where like I've had to like you just like sometimes like reality like hits like kind of hard, and you feel like have this like perfect romanticized view of how everything's supposed to happen for you, and
Yeah.
some things fall short of that, and you get criticized by like people that and just people just trying to take away your dreams because they don't have any. And I think that's why you have to kind of hold it closer to your chest instead of trying to you don't want to reveal it all the time because people are just willing to demonize you or just try to take away from that. So I definitely feel like I've become more of a life force when I hear other people that are younger than me that have these big aspirations, because a lot of times I was told that the aspirations I had are too big, and that they won't come true. But then I go on somewhere like MTV and I'm, performing in Times Square, and like
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could have guessed that I would have been there. I'm just a kid from
So,
like the suburbs of Charlotte, and and I get to be on Times Square. So I think people that, don't have any dreams need to just like look internally and try to find some good about themselves, because when they try to bring other people down, man, nothing's gonna, no weapon shall like prosper, like shall prosper against me. So I definitely I know that I've definitely held everything close to the chest, and I know I feel like a Bruce Wayne sometimes because
yeah.
on the outside I get to be like this young, like cool bachelor, but that's like enjoying, the good life. But definitely on the other side, there's definitely just like work up, just wanting to bring people together and just want, like I keep reiterating, just like people that have dreams to, follow through with them and, see the best in people and give them grace and, really try to fight, I guess evil in a sense, and,
Yeah.
not let it consume me, but know that I'm like up against, a lot of bad things. Definitely in the hip hop space, there's definitely been like people, and in just like any sort of celebrity space, has been like influencers and social climbers and like drug addicts and just people that are that's not even just hip hop. That's just any type of, you're getting in some sort of type of a place that is like upper echelon.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going against a lot of different forces and different types of people. Social climbers that don't even represent anything. They just want to be big just to be big, and you have to kind of rub hands with people like that and just kind of not lose yourself in the process. So when I make music, it's definitely like I think people should root for me because I'm like going. I'm the one that's like going toe to toe with the people that like I feel like don't bring a lot of light into this world, and like I'm trying to be the one to not rise above it, but just kind of showcase that we can there's people that want to do good and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
no,
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
you had to make me think about that one, man.
No, dude, that's a all of that was very rich, man. I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate the honesty and the vulnerability in that. And you know, t touching on one of your points, I always feel like if someone can vocalize something that's like so judgy, it's they're deflecting, they're projecting, right?
It's
It's
on them, right? Yeah.
it's on them. And I look at people like that and I'm just like, man, what is not in your life right now? Like that you felt the need, the desire to like that erupted out of you towards me, right? Or towards you. It feels like, man, I feel bad for you, dog. I feel bad that like you are so down in the dumps that you would throw something like that at me. When we're
Yeah.
out here just we're grinding, right? We're out here grinding for what we believe in, like men of principle. And
Hmm.
that's another thing, going on touching on what you said, right? It's like you have a belief, you believe in something, but like social climbers, folks like that who don't believe in something, right? They're gonna latch onto things. They're gonna be
Yeah.
wishy-washy. But
Yeah.
sometimes what I've realized, man, in life, like when you are someone of principle and standard, it sometimes it feels lonely, right? Because not everyone is like that. Not everyone is gonna stick by something, and commit to it and
Mhm.
really live it and walk it and breathe it. You know what I'm saying? And that becomes a path where some people hit certain stressors, they hit certain stimuli, and they break down, right? And then they fall by the wayside, and you feel like you don't have support in that. You're like, dude, I feel like this is right. I feel like what I'm doing
Yeah.
is correct,
Yeah.
but like
Very true.
it doesn't feel like anyone's seeing it right now, you know? But
Yeah.
I got to stick to it. I got to because I know it's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that literally what like yeah, I feel like yeah, what we're saying is very much hand in hand because it's it's tough because like you said, sometimes you feel like you're just like fighting the good fight by yourself, and it's like, man, you just want other people to kind of understand and understand that we can bring a lot more people together just by being ourselves and like looking inward into ourselves and understanding like there's a lot more light than there is dark, and if you're projecting something negative on somebody else, then like maybe you should look inward into yourself because chances are you could find happiness just by seeing out that darkness and that despair. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. And you know what? I know we're kind of approaching time here, but
yeah, yeah,
what I want to say to anyone who's listening out there is like, man, go check my boy Princeton out, breaking the action, dude. The
breaking
boy's
the action.
spitting out fire left and right, and this is just the beginning, dude. I'm like, I know, one day I'm gonna see you performing at the Grammys. Something big is in your future, man. And like just speaking to you makes me feel so charged up, man. Makes me feel like re-energized, and I got a new flow of energy like pulsating through my body, man. And I can't wait to stay tuned into your journey. I'm gonna plug in all your information here, but
Yeah.
as we hop off, man, anything that you want to say, dude, to the folks that might be listening out there?
Yeah, no, I know. There's been a lot of political unrest and everything in this world, so I won't get too deep. But I know, yeah, I know. I feel like conversations like these, just help bridge gaps of people of creatives and just anyone that's has aspirations of wanting to do something that's bigger than them. So I'm very much someone that's all about finding yourself through whatever medium, whatever venture that you go through. So I'm definitely just very, happy to be on like what you said, man. Like that was really nice words that you said. It's like, man, you got big stuff in store. It's like, wow, man, that's awesome. Thank you for believing in me, and like, and I think that's a reason why I like coming onto this podcast because the messaging that you convey is something that like I'm like, oh yeah, definitely, like I'm with that 100%. So I feel like you're definitely putting on like a good thing for people to just kind of resonate with and just think more about. I think what's wrong with some little critical thinking
Hey, man.
about certain topics and experiences. So I think it's definitely something it's needed, and just some sort of conversation of just understanding yourself, and once you hear somebody else's perspective, then you can learn more about it. I think that's like the whole point of conversation is to learn things from other people, and pick up on certain things and figure out more about yourself through that. So
Absolutely, bro. I look forward to potentially doing this again,
yeah, man.
and just seeing you grow, dude. And I look forward to coming to one of your shows, man. If I can swing one, I'll be there for sure, dude. And I'll be in the
Wow.
stands, front and center, baby, just getting it done. But
Dang, bro. That means a lot, man.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, man. I just am so grateful for you coming on, man. And this has been such an insightful chat. And
Yeah.
with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and pause the recording
Yeah.
here.